Yeah, I've been fortunate to have opportunities presented to me, and I think uh, when you have those opportunities, is be willing to take a little bit of a risk, or be a little bit curious, or put yourself out there and give it a try. And I think you might be surprised. You might be able to run a teaching hospital when you're only 29 years old.
So the big question is this: how do veterinarians like you, who live demanding lives,
who never seem to have enough time, able to achieve balance and take control of your finances with confidence?
that is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers.
We are Florida Veterinary Advisors, and this is the Smarter Vet Podcast. Hey, Smarter Vet, welcome back to the Smarter Vet Financial Podcast. I am your co-host, Tom Seeko, and co-founder of Florida Veterinary Advisors, a national personal and business financial planning firm, providing a different way of thinking to make financial decisions easy so you can spend time doing other things. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We're so glad to have you here. We have tons of episodes you can listen to. And if you're looking to be able to nerd out from this conversation today, go download some of our many other episodes. And our website has a tremendous amount of resources like race CEs. You can find our book. There's a bunch of assessments that you can get involved in. All of that can be found at flvetadvisors.com. And you can also find the link in the show notes. I'm excited to bring on our guest here today. I've known him for quite some time. I've gotten to know his wife a little bit as well. And it's cool to see people that are making traumatic change within veterinary medicine. And Dr. Bob Murtaugh, he's actually the founding dean of Rocky Vista University College of Veterinary Medicine, which is a tremendous feat within itself. He's a boarded internist, critical care doctor. He's been involved in academia, and he's also been a corporate executive. And I know you've got this massive laundry list of things you've done over time, Bob, and I'm really happy to have you here. Thanks for joining me.
Tom, it's a pleasure to be with you, and I look forward to our conversation.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, is there anything from the conversation that I just brought in here that you're wanting to be able to talk more about in your career? Like, what has your journey been over time? Where did you start off, and how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, it's been. I was actually just speaking. I gave the keynote speech at St. George's University white coat ceremony this past weekend, and I remarked to the audience of students that I was sitting where they were 49 years ago. Hard to believe that time flies like that. But I've been fortunate to have good mentors in my career, and even before I started veterinary school, that helped to point me in the right direction. I think opportunities present themselves. My career has been full, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've had. And I think, choices that you make a difference in the future of your career, and how things turn out for you. And so I think, you know, I started out down the specialty track, and I got to Tufts University, and I found out that we were moving to a new teaching hospital in Grafton, Massachusetts, and that they needed a hospital director. So here I am, fresh out of a residency, and I volunteered to be hospital director. I don't know, I was in my mid-20s at that point, or late 20s, and got a baptism in the business of veterinary medicine, such as it is in an academic setting. But then the relationships that you develop lead to new opportunities. A bunch of us were tasked with creating emergency and critical care teams in our hospitals, even though we were anesthesiologists or surgeons or internists, and developing the American College of Veterinary Emergency and Critical Care with a number of other academics helped to kind of build my opportunities to be connected across the country with great colleagues. And I think those sort of things feed on themselves. And if you give yourself a chance to take a chance, you can really find a direction that's meaningful, and it builds on itself over the course of 49 years,
There's so many people that I talk with on a regular basis about just having the confidence to do certain things and taking those steps to go there. And I'm curious, I know our childhoods can have a big impact on it. And as we're growing up, when we have certain mentorship or guidance around us, it can help push us in certain directions. I've observed over time. It could be, some of it could just be opinion, but it seems like there's even people within my business that they're associated with, their dad or mom was an advisor for a while, and now all of a sudden here they are becoming an advisor. And growing up, did you have a role model, or were your family involved in veterinary medicine?
Uh, not exactly. My dad was a real doctor. He was a physician. So I did have a
Ah,
role model with regard to maybe the direction towards a career in medicine. And then as a 15-year-old, I became a kennel boy in a local practice. And that veterinarian, the owner of that practice, was a member of our church. And so it led to a mentoring relationship that made me decide that my direction in medicine or healthcare was going to be veterinary medicine. And was fortunate enough to get into the University of Minnesota, and the rest is history. So
right.
it does matter. You're right. Exactly, Tom. Yeah.
I will say my dad had a very entrepreneurial spirit about him growing up. And it's, I hope that he's proud of me. I'm sure he is. It's nice to, like, I've taken something and I've multiplied it beyond what it is. And it's just like, and I know I got a lot of what's instilled in me from him. And then my mom's work ethic. She's
Mm-hmm.
just like works so hard at stuff. And, sometimes we land where we are, but there's a lot of these stories that I hear on social and out there in the public where, there is really no luck. It's more of just constantly putting yourself out there, and it's making decisions, and it's doing things to where it can feel like luck, but you put yourself in that situation. And it seems like a lot of your career has been like that.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to have opportunities presented to me, and I think uh, when you have those opportunities, is be willing to take a little bit of a risk, or be a little bit curious, or put yourself out there and give it a try. And I think you might be surprised. You might be able to run a teaching hospital when you're only 29 years old. Who knows? So.
That's really cool. Well, talking about, because, like, being very very long career that you've had so far. I mean, you've especially in the being a corporate executive, you know, Thrive. I know you were involved with Thrive Pet Healthcare. Have they changed? I think they've changed, or no, they were a previous name beforehand.
Yeah, they
Correct.
were Pathway Vet Alliance, and we became Thrive Pet Healthcare 5 years ago or so. Yeah.
Gotcha. And originally, starting around 15 hospitals to now over 350 today. What did you learn about scaling practices while trying to help keep medicine and culture the same?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, I think culture and medicine actually start at the local level, whether you're an independent hospital or a corporate hospital. And so I think the key to success in scaling is having good people on the ground in the hospitals, and have good lines of communication between hospitals and up the chain with regard to the corporate structure, if you will, and have people that on the operations side and on the medicine side that have similar values and a similar approach to handling people. And I think if any of that gets out of line, then you're going to have problems, and that would be true if it was an independent practice owner with multiple sites or whatever. Is that you really have to focus on the relationships and the leadership, and picking the right people and putting them in the right seats, and making sure that communication is the key to success, in my opinion, in that regard. I think the reason we see probably a lot of these de novo corporate groups that are started now recently is that it's easier to build from the ground up than it is to inherit somebody else's practices and try to blend them together. So if you're thinking about starting a corporate veterinary entity, I think that the de novo people have the right model with regard to what you're asking about, Tom, which is create a culture and an approach process wise right from the get go with a blank slate, instead of inheriting somebody else's issues, perhaps.
Right. I find that culture, of course, each location is going to have different vibes. Going to have probably different past visions that were communicated, and especially whoever, like, if the leader was very involved from, like, being you know, actually leading from the front and trying to help people and guiding them, or if they're more of like an absent leader in the perspective. I would imagine those are all significant challenges to being able to go in there and keep the culture intact, because I would think that people would, as change happens, the people who are not used to some of that change are going to want to kind of fizzle out. They're not going to want to be there anymore, right?
Yeah, but and the reality of that on the flip side, what you say is true. Is that, but there are some that have broken cultures that actually are looking for a change, and so I think being curious as a leader coming in, getting to know the team, what is the vibe, what are the needs, trying to identify solutions that meet the needs at a individual hospital level while trying to build a melded group that has strength in numbers, if you will, because there are advantages to being part of a larger group, especially in a given geographic area, from a scheduling standpoint, a sharing of resources, a sharing of processes, all those things too. So,
Right. It gets me thinking about when you try to scale and have a lot of locations. It reminds me of the McDonald's story of how they're able to have this like playbook and the standards and procedures, and it's like, this is how you make the hamburger
right.
every single time. This is what you do. And I don't know if a lot of that from my side of the coin here, I'm not familiar with there being a significant, I don't know, let's say that out there in play, which there might be. It seems like some of these groups as well with Thrive being at the amount of hospitals that it is, it's like it gets to a part where there's a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with it at times.
Yeah. And on the corporate side, you have to be willing to change the playbook. I mean, there's always a way to make a better burger, perhaps, too. So it's a two-way street, communication and learning and moving forward together. And I think my personal approach has always been to be a servant leader and to try to instill that in people on my team, is that we work for them, whether it's the client in the exam room or the team member in a hospital, is that we're there to support their needs. And to do that, you have to be a good listener, and you have to be somebody willing to make good decisions based on collecting information and not be reactionary about stuff. So it takes a special set of people to build a team and scale an operation like a veterinary chain, in my opinion. So.
I would agree. And on the note of consolidation, every industry has had it. I mean, I could name off a bunch of them, and it seems like it's the normal pattern that exposes itself. And I sometimes with that shift of ownership, there can be good feelings and bad feelings about it, and sometimes there can be a misunderstanding about changes of what is happening. How do you suggest that veterinarians, associates, team members, like how do they prepare themselves professionally and financially as these things do happen?
If they're in the moment on an acquisition, or if they're thinking about joining a corporate group, or all of the above kind of scenarios.
Let's chat on the if they're in the middle of it at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's always good to approach things with an open mind. I think that the first thing about consolidation in our space is it's allowed for great exits for a lot of good owners. And so I think there's goodness in that. I think if they're also thinking about their team in the process, that there may be financial opportunities for both staff and doctors. But I think corporate veterinary medicine has brought a lot of good things, I think, with regard to mentorship programs for new grads, opportunities for leadership and growth for associates that want to become medical directors or want to move into a more a regional role, or some other mentoring role in a practice situation on a larger scale than their one individual hospital. So I think there's some good things, but I think as veterinarians, we need to be thinking about, be aware of the business, and stick up for yourself and look for the right fit, whether it's an independent practice or a corporate practice. Is that there are good apples and bad apples, and so find the one that resonates with your needs and the team that feels good around you, for sure.
Well, shifting gears from the consolidation aside, because I'd really like to chat about you becoming a founding dean. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment. Like, what was the driving factors to get you to do that? Like, were people pushing you? Was this something you woke up one day and you're like, I need to do that?
No, it was another opportunity that came my way, right place at the right time. I mean, I actually stepped away from Thrive Pet Healthcare at the end of 2022 and attempted to retire, and it was turned into more of a 6 month sabbatical than a retirement. But I was approached by uh, colleagues in the industry and then the university, which is based out of Colorado, to create a veterinary college in Montana. I've always been a bit of an entrepreneur when it comes to veterinary medicine, and I personally see a great need for more veterinary colleges and more veterinary graduates, and certainly in the Mountain West where there are no veterinary colleges, so you have to go to CSU or WSU. So the geography, the opportunity, my own personal feelings about continuing to make a difference, it seemed like the right place at the right time, once again in my career. So don't be afraid to say yes, So
Once this whole journey, this next phase, this next chapter you're going through, uh, let's say comes to a tide, which maybe it will, maybe it won't. I mean, do you have an idea of like wanting to have someone take over the reins for you at some point, or is this something you see playing out as long as it possibly can?
uh, no, I just celebrated my 69th birthday. So I think at some point here in the next couple of years, I think my personal goal is to get the school up and running, get a class going, and then probably I'm building a team, which is another mark of a good leader. Is you need to be able to bring in the people behind you to take over, and that's sort of where I'm not going to make a. I've had a good career, and I think I may finally try to retire again in a couple of years. We'll see what happens.
I always find when people they talk about retiring, is there's always you need something to retire to.
Yeah,
There's people that
yeah,
go into retirement and then they come back out again because they're like, I can only
right,
play so much golf and travel so much.
right. Yeah, a colleague of mine, you have to find it's not retirement, it's preferment, and you do need to have something that you're doing that you want to do and that fulfills you, And so I think I'll always be involved in some aspects of the profession. I think I won't let go entirely ever. You're right. You know.
If there's something like a piece of advice or something that you could provide that has helped you along the way, let's say make good decisions, something
Hmm.
in your finances, what would you share?
Well, I think I think that in my view, it's things like the professional skills that matter. I think you have to. If you're a young veterinarian or want to be a veterinarian, I think you need to focus on things that are beyond just the clinical aspects and build your personal repertoire in a way that because you are a leader, and that was my discussion with the students in Grenada this past weekend. Is that how do you spell veterinarian? It's spelled Leader, and so you need to be successful with clients, to be successful with a team, to be successful in your career, both from a professional satisfaction and financially. You need to be a whole person, and you need to focus on not just the aspects of veterinary medicine that are obvious, but the ones that really matter are the ones that are so-called soft skills. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
It 100% does. I mean, the fact that you bring that up, I'm a firm believer, even if you're not the owner or if you're in charge of a bunch of people, just even your actions and how you go about, carrying yourself and the way you're communicating with people. And even I always think about values and your principles that you carry, because you are permeating to other people around you where it's, you can be a person of you could be a helping, just even it could be another person that's near you, but then also when you are elevated to a spot to where you are overseeing 10, 20 people, it's a whole different level of leadership. But at the same time, it's very similar that every day we need to go out there and we are helping so many people around us. You're leading your patients, you're leading your clients, you're leading your team members. I love what you bring up here.
Yeah,
I'm a very firm believer in it.
Yeah, and leadership starts with yourself. So allow some time for your own self-reflection and your own building of yourself and maintaining of yourself as an individual. And yeah, you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others, for sure.
I love it, Bob. I do appreciate you taking some time out of your day to come talk with us and to all the listeners on the show. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome, Tom. It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much.
If anyone is also looking to get a veterinary degree, I mean, they should start probably looking at Vista University over here.
Rocky Vista University. Yeah, we'll be in the VimCast in a year or two, so stay tuned. Our website is up if you want to check it out. Yeah.
All right. What is the link to the website right now?
It's rvu.edu, Rocky Vista University. Yeah. So
very easy. rvu.edu. We'll include it in the show notes as well. And if you're ever wanting to connect with Bob, I know you're all over the internet as well. And Smarter Vets, if you found that this conversation has been insightful, please share it with a friend or some other of your colleagues in the industry, because they might be able to really find some useful information from this. And if you've not had a chance to rate and review our show through Apple or Spotify, even if you listen on a different podcasting platform and you will listen on an iPhone, please go to Apple Podcasts and rate us. It really does help our show out and helps other people be able to find it. This is Tom Seeko, wishing you a lifetime of financial success. Don't forget to visit our website and sign up for our newsletter. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know about upcoming race-approved CE webinars, podcast releases, short presentations, and articles that we publish. Make sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on LinkedIn, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.